Hi, my name is David Farris and welcome to this week's weekly Chamber Buzz. Thank you for joining us, and our special guest today is Charles Penny, the City Manager of Rocky Mount. Charles, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Chamber Buzz is proudly presented by Roger Taylor and Associates. And let's have a look around and see what's going on in Rocky Mount.
I happen to think of all the FEMA land, we call it, the land that was acquired after the flood and that cannot be developed with buildings. I've always thought it would be wonderful if we could have a botanical garden here in Rocky Mount on some of that land. So the idea of the apple trees and a community orchard came together with the availability of this FEMA land. And I sent an email out to Sierra Club members and to other kindred spirits to ask if they would be willing to donate funds to buy one of our apple trees. Fortunately, we had enough takers that we have 19 trees planted here. I think originally it was 14 that were going to go out here, but some folks had bought them, intended to plant them, Margie, I know, being one of those, and found that she too had a lot of shade. And so our group of trees here grew to 19. Oh no.
May our Mother Earth bless these young trees and help them become strong and healthy, that we may enjoy their fruit for years to come. May our community nurture the trees in this orchard and make it be one of many efforts to create and maintain a healthy environment here. Bless also our community garden next door and all those who live and work in this area.
Charles, before we get started today, we're approaching the 1-year anniversary of a lady who visited our fair city last August by the name of Irene. She came early, she stayed late, she obviously wore out her welcome and wore us all out.
She did.
Mary Ann and I both, as you know, our home experienced a lot of damage and we were out of it for several months. But both of us want to tell you, as the city manager, the head of our city, and your great staff, all the employees, what a wonderful job y'all did in preparation for the storm. I know it exceeded what any of us thought. It's supposed to be in and out of here in a couple of hours, and it, like I said, it wore out its welcome. But the city before and during the storm, and equally as important afterwards, I just can't commend y'all enough, the men and women who really just put it all out and did a great job. You had a good plan, you executed it. And I know I speak for many, many citizens in Rocky Mount when we say thank you for your hard work and your team's hard work.
Well, David, let me just say thank you for that compliment, and I will say to you that our staff did do a great job, and I also will say that the mayor and the members of the city council, they were right there in there with us.
No question about
it. And providing us all the support. And Hurricane Irene almost did the city manager in, and I had gone through Hurricane Floyd, and having gone out about 1 in the afternoon and thinking that storm was about over, I got out there and I saw some things, and I just wanted to go back to the office. I was out with the council member Lamont Wiggins. I said, please take me back to City Hall. And I wanted to go in a corner and just cry, because I saw the trees down and the city was devastated. And then something said, you've been through this before. And the Hurricane Floyd experience came back. And we rallied everybody. And we even had, for the first time in my career, not the first time, but Steve did it one time, but we invited the mayor and the council in the next morning for our staff meeting so they would know, because we knew they would be getting calls from citizens as well. And we had a lot of crews from other places coming in to help. We did have people out of power for more than 7 days. but by Wednesday of that week, we had 95% of our customers back online. But at the height of the storm, we had 27,000 people without power, and now that was pretty shocking. But our folks did a great job. The feds and the state are very helpful, and we still have remnants of the storm around, but we've. It's not our first trip to the rodeo, and our folks
Hopefully
responded
it'll be the
very well.
last one for a while.
We hope so.
But
We hope so.
I did, you were speaking of the mayor and the city council, as I crossed paths with them many times during the aftermath of the storm. They were all concerned about Rocky Mount, and they rolled their sleeves up.
They did.
We've got a wonderful community.
Oh, yeah, we do.
We really do. There's a lot going on in Rocky Mount.
Right.
And we see a lot of new roads or the improvement in existing roads and bridges going on, and of course the major expansion of Nash Healthcare and the hospital,
Right.
Children's Pediatric Center, which is exciting, and the long-awaited improvements downtown, the streetscapes. The Douglas block has been a huge success. Looks great, and as the streets and the sidewalks are improving. But what I'm most excited about, these are things that we can see, is maybe what we can't see, the future, and the visioning process that you and the city council and the counties, both Edgecombe and Nash, are involved in. Talk to us about what that is. What does that mean, and what can it mean for our community?
Well, first off, the visioning and strategic planning process is so critical, because when people talk about our community, what is it that we're known for? And there are a lot of great things that have come out of our community, a lot of great people, a great community with entrepreneurship. You talk about Hardee's, you talk about banks, you talk about MBM, you talk about all these things that have come out of this community. But even with those things coming out of the community, you always have to keep refreshing. You have to hit the refresh button. And that refresh button means that you have to do the visioning and strategic planning. And even if things are going well, you still have to do that. And so what this visioning and strategic planning process will give us an opportunity to do, it will give us a chance to look at ourselves and talk about the good things that we have going on, but we also will talk about our, and I don't like to say problems, we will talk about our opportunities for improvement. And we had a great jumping off point when Jim Johnson came in and did the Twin County Competitiveness Study. And out of that study, and sometimes we talk about the negatives, but he also highlighted a lot of positive things that we have going for us in our community. And at the same time, the areas that we need to concentrate on. We need to talk about how we can improve education. When you talk about our community and you think about people wanting to live in a city, if people have children, their first concern is, what kind of education will my children get? And so we want to make sure that we are at the forefront of improving our school system, so that when people companies are trying to hire people, they don't say, I need to go to Wake County. So schools are important. And so that means, what that also means is that we have to support our school systems. And I know we have a lot of people that might have retired, but if they want our community to continue to grow, we have to keep reinvesting in the school system. The other things that we need to deal with, transportation. We sit in one of the best locations in the state, sitting on I-95 and US 64. But we have to take advantage of that road network. And so we see that as an opportunity to further bring things to our community and make our community a destination location. So we want to hit the refresh button, but we also have to have a plan, a roadmap for how we're going to move our community forward. And that's what the strategic plan helps us do. And in our community, we're in a sort of a funny situation, because here's Rocky Mount, and we sit in two counties, Nash County and Edgecombe counties. Sometimes they're competing with each other, even for industries. But it gives us an opportunity to pool our resources and plan together and talk about how we want to get better. And I often tell people, if you look at Raleigh, and not probably in the last 5 years, Raleigh has been doing a strategic plan and been going through a strategic planning process. And they almost, I'd look at them and say, why do they need to do that? If they want to stay competitive, they should always be planning for the next 5 years, the next 10 years. And that's the same thing. We did a comprehensive plan for our community 10, 12 years ago, but we still, that it was good for our community, but we needed to reach out beyond just the city limits and talk about how we get better as a region, because we'll be better competitively if we're working together.
Well, when we come back, we'll continue that discussion on how we do improve our region and work within the 3 areas of Rocky Mountain Nash and Education. In a future episode of the Weekly Chamber Buzz, Teresa Pinto, our new CEO here at the Rocky Mountain Area Chamber of Commerce, along with Lige Daughtridge, our chairman, will be taking your questions. And if you'll look at the bottom of your screen, write down the email address, you can send those in and they'll answer as many of them as possible. And again, thank you for joining us.
We are the past,
present,
and the future leadership of your Chamber of Commerce.
we are business members focusing on new beginnings, boldly creating our Twin Counties future.
members working toward broader thinking, community reinvestment, and public policy supporting strong business.
We are partnerships that create new beginnings.
We are business and community leaders working together for a better tomorrow.
And this is my time.
Coming up soon on The Buzz, Lige Daughtridge, Chairman of the Chamber Board, and Teresa Pinto, who's President of the Chamber, will be answering your questions. Go to the email address on the screen and send in your questions, and they'll look forward to answering them.
You know, Charles, Rocky Mount and Nash and Edgecombe is an amazing community. You spoke earlier about the entrepreneurs that have come through here and the companies that got their start here. And they're just, the list goes on and on and on, and we won't even begin to go there. We'll need 3 segments to touch on that. But with the visioning process, it seems to me that you're also nurturing what we seem to have a great track record for here, which is turning out new business, new leaders, thus improving the community. And by pulling together the resources of the Twin County area, the community, how do you see the Chamber's role playing in that?
Well, the Chamber is a critical partner in the visioning process because it represents a very important segment, the business community, small businesses, and we want to continue to grow those businesses, and you can only grow those businesses if you increase population, if you're doing the things that people want in the community. And as you and I were talking, when you think about it, the Chamber helps promote our community, but we have to give them something to promote and to try to sell a business to come to Rocky Mount. And as I think about quality of life, the Chamber plays a very big part about promoting the quality of life, promoting the community, and at the same time saying we need reinvestment in the community. It can't be a one-way street where we say, okay, now what can you do to get business started? We also have to have reinvestment in our community, and the Chamber has to help promote and sell our community to the business community. When we think about what makes someone want to locate in the area, we talked about education, but you also have to look at amenities. And so the Chamber has to promote some of those amenities that are needed in a community that will help create opportunities for people to want to come here. The Chamber also has to support a downtown, a vibrant downtown, a vibrant center city. In a lot of communities, some people will say, forget the downtown. And I'm here to tell you, and I think Teresa would support me on this. If you want to be a progressive community, if you want to be a progressive region, you got to have a strong center city. You have to have a strong center city. And when people sit back and say, let downtown fall, they don't realize that what they've done is they've actually signed a death sentence for that city and for their counties. And I'll give you an example. In our community, a lot of folks criticize the Douglas block.
Boy, were they wrong.
Why would we spend money on the Douglas block? And I'm here to tell you that a month ago, John Gesselman called me and told me he was showing someone the shell building out at Whitaker's Industrial Park. After he showed the person the Whitaker's Industrial Park building, that person looked at him and said, now I want to see you downtown. Now, granted, we have downtown Nashville and we have downtown Tarboro. You want to see downtown Rocky Mount because we are the largest community in the two-county region. They come downtown, they ride around the Imperial Center, and then John and Krista take them over by the Douglas block. They see all the work going on the streetscape, and the first thing the guy says is, I'm impressed and I'm bringing my client back to your community. The thing that downtown did for us was it kept us from being eliminated. And in the economic development world, what you're trying to do is to keep your community from getting eliminated. You want to be able to at least have a chance to sell it to them. And our downtown helped keep us from getting eliminated. If we had brought them downtown 3 years ago, he would have come down, looked at what he saw, and would have said, see you later. Probably never heard back from him.
Yeah, I think there used to be an old saying that the living room of a community is a downtown.
It is.
And I'm really excited that we're remodeling our downtown, our living room.
Think about it this way. If no one else comes to visit our city, we have 8 Amtrak trains a day. And if you look at the number of people on the Amtrak trains that come through Rocky Mount, you're talking about 750,000 people a year. And the only impression they might get of Rocky Mount is what they see from the train window. So right now, with the improvements that are going on, it's going to look inviting, and folks are going to say, well, maybe I want to get off the train and see what's going on in Rocky Mount. Someone might even say, well, it might be a pretty good place to stay. So it is the living room of the community, and what I like to say is, at home, when your living room, after about 20 years, and your wife might say no often, after about 10, 15 years, it's time for a facelift. And that's what happened in Rocky Mount. It's time for a facelift in our downtown, and that's what we're doing right now.
I commend you. It's going to look great. It already is looking great. But, you know, speaking of coming in on a train, we are a destination, more so than people realize. We're a reunion destination.
Right.
The athletic complex brings in tens of thousands of people, and that helps our hotels and our restaurant business and retail business. I was down here several months back, and there was a group of children out in front on the Commons, and there was a couple of teachers there and parents, and I spoke to one of them, and they were from Cary,
Right.
the great state of Cary.
Right.
We used to say the great state of Charlotte, the great state of Cary. They had ridden the train from Cary to Rocky Mount and had brought their lunches and had walked down to the Imperial Center. And with all the resources you have in Raleigh, I just thought that was really special.
That's a good story.
And they were back here, and they had already been down there. And I asked her what she thought of it. She said, it's unlike anything we've ever seen.
Right.
And I think y'all are doing a great job, and the city council seems to have a solid agenda to develop the city. They are very focused, and they're to be commended for it, and the mayor's supporting it, and you and your staff seem to be. One of the things, briefly, because we're almost out of time, we keep hearing about maybe an event center and maybe downtown.
Right.
Can you shed a little light on that?
Well, downtown is an important, like I said, the center city is very important to our community. And whenever, after my first year as manager, preparing to go to the council retreat, one of the things that hit me is I said, we want to be a destination location. I actually had a meeting with Bill Body, and I got there and he had Mayo and his brother Mike, and I was like, I wasn't expecting that, but it was a great opportunity. And Mayo said, he said, Charles, you got to have something in downtown that's going to make people want to come down there. Now, he didn't say an event center, but at that point, I had been thinking, and for years in our community, we've talked about a convention center. Mm-hmm. And I actually went back and read a task force report from 1974. And the task force report said that in the 40s, Rocky Mount was talking about a civic center. And because of other priorities, backed away from it. So in the 70s, they revived it. I think Jeffrey Batt's father might have chaired that committee. And they were talking about why it was important to have a civic center. And the thing that stuck out in my mind, and I read it to the council, and it says, if Rocky Mount wants to be a leader in the region, a civic center is a must in the community. Now, they didn't, and one time the original location was actually where the George Street Post Office is located. And then out by Barnum Road was another location. But when you look at our community, the sports complex is a destination location. 100,000 people last year came to our city because of it. If we want to drive traffic into the downtown area, into the center city, we've got to have a destination location. If a feasibility study will say that it's something that the community can support, that people would use an event center, then we could create that destination location in downtown Rocky Mount. I see it as an economic development opportunity. The event center would be the destination location, but it would bring a lot of different properties into play. And then whenever I talk to folks and say, we need someone to create a restaurant in the downtown area, right now they look at me like I have 3 heads. But whenever I talk about the possibility of an event center, they won't think I have 3 heads at that point, because they can see the traffic, they can see the opportunities. This year we're going to host the USA Sports South Spring Tournament in April. When we landed that tournament 2 years ago, or a year or so ago, after we landed that tournament, we received a telephone call and wanted to know if we had a location in Rocky Mount where we could seat 3,000 to 5,000 people for a basketball game. And we told them no. They said if you had that facility, we would bring our basketball tournament to downtown Rocky Mount. Wow. I see it as an opportunity, if it's feasible, to bring indoor soccer, bring basketball, some trade shows. We're not trying to compete with a RBC, a PNC arena. We're not trying, but we are looking at some of the smaller markets. Doesn't mean we couldn't have the Harlem Globetrotters. Oh yeah. Doesn't mean we couldn't have Disney on Ice. And the facility I was looking at was about 5,000 seats, but flexible space. And if we were able to create that venue in downtown Rocky Mount, I don't think it would be unreasonable to think that we could then bring a hotel into downtown Rocky Mount that would be close to it. And I'll just simply say, and since it's being taped, Raleigh made a mistake when they allowed the PNC Center
and they acknowledge that
to be
today.
built where they built it. It should have been built downtown, and Raleigh probably would not have then had to turn around and spend $200 million to build that convention center.
You're right. Charles, we'll have to cut you off. We're probably, speaking of sports, in overtime.
Okay.
But anyway, our guest today has been City Manager Charles Penny, and we want to thank you for joining us.
We are the past,
present,
and the future leadership of your Chamber of Commerce.
We are business members focusing on new beginnings, boldly creating our Twin Counties future.
members working toward broader thinking, community reinvestment, and public policy supporting strong business.
We are partnerships that create new beginnings.
We are business and community leaders working together for a better tomorrow.
And this is my town.